Hi guys, in today's video I'm going to be painting on the front of a new sketchbook that I've got. I got this sketchbook for a specific reason which I'll go into a little bit more detail about as the video goes on. I decided to get a Sea White of Brighton sketchbook based on a recommendation by Nikki Durham in one of her YouTube videos, which I highly recommend. I got the white sketchbook because I thought it would be a nice idea to decorate the front and the back of it, just to make it a little bit more personal and to try and make me look forward to sketching in it, because I am not the best at sketching. In fact, I haven't had a sketchbook that I've completed since I was in college. It sounds a bit sad when I think about it now, but I have never had a sketchbook that I remember that wasn't a academic sketchbook, so I don't think I have ever owned a sketchbook solely for sketches that I wanted to create. I have owned them, but I've never used them, so I'm hoping that this one will be the one that I actually get to finish. I think that one of the main reasons why I've never really had a proper sketchbook is my perfectionism and my inability to make a mess and not have to have every drawing be perfect. I often find sketchbooks daunting because I feel like I need to make a full spread that looks beautiful and aesthetically pleasing, which is obviously the opposite of what a sketchbook is, but that's what I'm hoping to unlearn with this sketchbook. There's so many styles and types of artwork that I wish I could create, and I often find myself comparing what I can do to what other artists can do, and then usually if I try a different art style and I can't do it, then I tend to be quite harsh on myself. So I've had many sketchbooks where I've started out and thought I'm gonna challenge myself, and then because I class it as unsuccessful, I lose motivation and end up giving up. I'm hoping to really make a change in that though. I have my sketchbook. I even got some pens which I thought would help, which I will probably explain in another video. I also have recently bought some art books which I am really excited to get, just so that I can learn again and explore other artists in a fun way and not in a comparison kind of way. I would love to be able to create characters and scenes that tell a story, and that kind of artwork really challenges me. It's not something that comes easy to me. My artwork has always been, I've always been good at realism. This kind of means that I struggle when it comes to drawing from imagination or drawing things that look unrealistic, because when I start to draw, my mind can't get out of the idea that I have to make the drawing look real or realistic, which is the opposite thing that you need when you're drawing characters and like fantasy worlds, because you want it to look unrealistic and out of this world. I look at a lot of artists who are able to do that kind of artwork, and I just can't understand how they got to that point. I often see them explaining a drawing or the odd thing, but I'm yet to see someone go through the process of not being able to draw that kind of thing to being able to draw that kind of thing. So I wanted to try and do a creative boot camp for myself to see if I could manage to create that kind of artwork with exploring different methods, like learning from books, learning from other artists, making myself sketch possibly every day, challenging myself to do artwork that even if I think it's rubbish, still carry on with it. And I have a diary again, which I'll show in one of my other videos, which is like a book written by an artist, and it's like it has instructions for you to do on each page, which it seems like it will be a way of looking at the world in a creative way and not seeing everything for what it actually is, but for what it could be, which I feel like will be a really helpful way of unlocking that creative way of thinking, which I would definitely benefit from. Instead of looking at everything as though it should look realistic or be what it seems to be. I feel like I can't be alone in the feeling of comparing myself to other artists who can already do the kind of artwork that I want to do, and in feeling lost in how to get there. So I'm hoping that these videos and me documenting my process of trying to get to that point will hopefully help other people who feel a similar way to what I feel. I want to share it all because I want to share the pages that I think are no good, because I feel like I don't often see that from other artists. I often see very, like I said earlier, very aesthetically pleasing pages, and I think it's nice to be honest about creating some not so great artwork, because I think it just adds to the idea that all artwork needs to be perfect or it's not good enough. I have seen a lot of artists say sketching is for making a mess and for not caring whether your artwork is good or not. But then in those videos I'm watching and seeing those artists sketch what I think are really good sketches, so it may just be that the artist never thinks they're good because it's their artwork, or it may just be that I've not come across an artist who shares their genuine awful work that they're embarrassed about, but I hope that I can do that. I just hope that it can help other artists who are feeling the way I feel to feel less alone in thinking that they're not creating the kind of artwork they want to create, and hopefully by the process of exploring techniques and different ways of drawing, we'll be able to get to the point where we're a bit closer to creating the kind of artwork we want to create. So as I was painting this sketchbook, I was kind of making it up as I went along. I chose colours that I really wanted to use on the front of it, and actually once I'd finished the front I decided that I liked the idea that I would create the front of the sketchbook now, and in a style that's obviously coming to me quite naturally, which is landscapes, which I have created a lot of recently. And then by the time I reach the end of the sketchbook, I'll paint the back of it and see how my artwork has changed from the beginning to the end. So I thought that was quite a nice way of documenting it. And then down the spine I'll put the dates of when I started and when I finished. After I'd put the colour down on the front, I decided that I wanted to draw this idea that I'd sketched previously in this Archer and Olive journal. I was just sat doodling in a cafe and did this sort of mountain kind of scene just in lines, and I wanted to just put that on the front in white pen so that it had a little bit of detail but in a nice soft kind of way. And obviously it represents a sketch that I created before going through this kind of creative journey, if you will. Funnily enough, I actually used to think that I couldn't paint or create landscapes. I thought I was no good at it, and then it was only a couple of years ago that I actually sat down and tried to paint one, and now they're the thing that I find the easiest to paint. So I thought it was quite a good kind of piece to have on the front, something that comes really easy to me now. And then obviously, like I said, I can compare that to what I create on the back of the sketchbook when I've finished. I used Winsor & Newton water-based oil paints for the front of it. I decided to use those just because I like how they blend. Other than that, there wasn't a particular reason. But I did find that the pen didn't really go on top of that kind of paint very well, even when it had dried. So I decided to take some Mod Podge and paint a layer of that over the oil paint, and then see, after it had dried, see whether the paint pen went on better, which it did, which is good because I didn't have a plan B. So I drew the mountains and just kind of made up the rest of the drawing. I wasn't 100% pleased. I was going to go over certain parts with some white paint and add more to it, but then in the end I just decided to leave it and say that I was done, because I thought there's no point in starting the sketchbook out trying to perfect work when, as I've said, the sketchbook is there to be a mess of just me creating from the top of my head and not trying to be perfect about it. So I left it as it was. So as I said, you can expect a lot more of these kind of videos coming soon, because I'm planning on documenting basically all of the exploring kind of work that I'm going to do, so that if I manage to get to the art style that I'd like to be at, then I'll have a good way of showing people how I got to that point, which will hopefully be really helpful, because that's the kind of thing that I feel like I need right now as someone who feels like it's a bit unreachable at this point. So my next video might be a supplies video where I show you the things that I've got to try and help me get to that point of the artwork that I'd love to create. and then other videos like sketching videos and exploring different ways of creating will also follow, including probably some product reviews and what I think of the books that I got. So yeah, stick with me for those and follow and like if you'd like to. I hope that this video made sense, and I hope to see you in my next one. Thank you for watching. Bye.